But can you start, Cynthia? I guess you had a car accident. Could you please tell us what happened and
Yep,
the whole thing?
I was in a really bad car accident. Such a long story. I'll try and make it quick and simple, but there were 6 of us. 1 girl was killed. I broke my neck in 3 places, my back, my pelvic, my femur, and I was in the hospital for quite some time, but I did have a near-death experience while I was in the hospital, and it was all based around me finding out that one of the girls in the car had been killed, and it was a couple weeks later. I was unconscious, really. It was really the first awakening moment of my car accident. And a girl had come in to see me who had nobody told her what to say or not to say. And evidently I knew that she was killed, so nobody told me. So wait till she asks before you tell her that Linda's dead. And when this girl came in to visit me, she took one look at me and started crying, which I thought was very strange because I thought I was going to be out of the hospital. I didn't really understand what was happening. And she was crying, and I was saying, "Oh, I'm okay, I'm okay." I can't imagine what I must have looked like. I was a scab from head to toe, and, you know, I had all this, I was barely alive. And it kind of dawned on me that something wasn't right. And she said, "Well, are you okay?" I said, I'm fine. She said, "Well, how's everybody else?" I said, "Everyone else is fine." And she said, "Well, I read in the paper Linda was killed." And something just freaked me out about it, and she said, "I gotta go." And that's when it hit me. Something was really wrong. And so I called the nurse in, and I said, "What happened to me?" And she said, "I'll be right back." And she left, and my brother and this other person came in, and they were crying, and I knew by looking at them something wasn't right, and they were crying. I said, "Why didn't anybody tell me?" And I was referring to Linda. And I was bawling my head off. I was in shock. I was, as you can imagine. And I have to just preface this by saying I never went to church as a child. I was never baptized. And when I was little, I used to ask for confirmation from God, you know, make it thunder, make it lightning. And I never had really any structure at all. So I'm listening in the background.
I guess your prayer was delivered to you in a very unusual fashion.
Oh, sure it was. Oh, that's exactly what it was. And
it's not how we expect it.
Yeah, so when they came in and took a look at me, I said, "I want to be alone," because I was in shock. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't have anywhere else to go, and they didn't want to leave. I said, "You got to leave me alone." They did. And I just said, "You know what? I need you now, God." Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, this little light, deep within sight, as far as it can be within me, began to penetrate. But first I felt, I'm sorry, this was 20 years ago. I've told this, I want to get right down to the good stuff. These hands picked me up, and they were like, I knew they were the hands of God, and all of a sudden, I didn't feel any more pain. And then this light came, and it grew, and this light was warm and peaceful, and it just grew and became all of me, and I was inside all white light, and there were all kinds of entities around me. There's all kinds of action going on, lots of spirits there that I couldn't say, you know, that's my grandmother, my grandfather, but they were all loved me, and they were there for me, and I felt very safe and peaceful and loved. And then Jesus stood before me in this big form of light, and with a flowing robe, and I said, but not really said, this is part of the problem with near-death experience, trying to explain to somebody in words something that's unexplainable. And I said, "What am I to make of this?" And he said, "What do you want of this? Anything you want in your life is your choice. Anything, at any given moment." And I said, "Well, if I walk with a cane, I'll be happy." And I don't know why I chose it. At the time, I didn't know why, but I knew everything in this light. I knew everything. You know, every puzzle, every little piece to the world fit perfectly. It was, you know, my path. It was what I was supposed to be. And being in the light blew everybody away, because when I found out the next day, my doctor came in, because it was time to tell me what was up. He said, you know, he was crying. He was wonderful. Oh, angel on earth. And he said, you know, you're never going to walk again. And I comforted him, and I said, don't worry, I'm going to walk again. You'll see. And I met with God last night, you know, yesterday, and he was, yeah, okay. But I knew, and you know, all my loved ones, my family members, my friends, they would come and see me, and you know, and it's true, it took me 3 years before I ever walked again, but I never, ever doubted it.
You never gave up, and you were that confident.
Oh, no doubt, and still to this day, there's no doubt in my mind what happened to me. And you know, they have statistics that people try and say near death that didn't actually happen, and this is firing in your brain. I mean, that's fine, but for me, I know what happened and how it's changed my entire life, my view on life, and a couple good things came out of my experience, and I just, to kind of clarify for me and keep me focused, because I realize I need big lessons from God. This is a big lesson,
sometimes.
yes. But I had my car accident on July 2nd in 1982, and there were these 4 entities very close to me in my experience, and I couldn't really make sense of them. But on July 2nd, 12 years later to the day, I gave birth to twins, which was a fluke that I mean, it's a miracle. And the twins were born on the same day as my car accident. So it was the end of a bad era and the beginning of a new, but it was also a way of reassuring me that, you know, don't forget, you have, you know, there's blessings in everything. So.
And ending with a new beginning.
Absolutely.
And what do you share with your children? How old are your children now?
It's so funny you should ask.
What do you tell them?
Oh my goodness. My son last night crawled up on my lap, and we were talking about some neighbor kids and how much I love them, and he said, but Mom, you're the best mom in the world. Do you know why? I said, no. No, why? Why? And he said, because you teach me about God all the time, and the other moms don't do that. And I said, well, maybe they do, and you just don't know it. He goes, but I pray on my own, Mom. And they do. They're very, I mean, they really feel like they're gifts, because I've told them their whole life. You know, thanks be to God for you, because, you know, they are a miracle.
I feel we're all a gift in life.
Absolutely.
How old are the kids?
9. They're 9, July 2nd.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and there's so many other things in my life. That's just one thing that's so faded from my near death, you know.
Didn't the doctor tell you also that you wouldn't have children, you wouldn't walk?
Oh, yeah.
And also...
Well, he didn't know if I would. He didn't tell me I wouldn't. He just said he didn't know at the time, because obviously I was in so much turmoil. My body wasn't producing normally. So, you know.
Let me ask you now, when you do have any type of an illness, how do you usually try to handle that and treat yourself?
Oh, well, I know it's up to me. I know it's my decision, and it's my choice, anything I do. That's very clear to me. I try to keep a positive attitude. I work out. I try to work out. I'm lying. I haven't worked out in 2-3 months.
You look
but
good.
No, but I usually do. I'm usually pretty religious about it. And, you know, I do a lot of pray, and do a lot of, I mean, I can't help but look inside quite often.
Okay.